one and all, it's my dear Doc Stone, chapter 226, Giant Step. And this chapter may have been Ryu's greatest moment. I mean, I know him giving up his seat in the rocket to Stanley was more emotional than this, but that was in terms of practicality. Ryu gave up his seat because he knew Stanley was a better marksman and a better pilot than he was. But here, he's giving up the chance to walk on the moon to Senku because he knows just how badly Senku wants this, even if he won't actually say it. And that's just such an utterly selfless decision, and I freaking love it. Very proud of you, Ryu. We also get a bit more of an explanation on how exactly he made it up to space, because as it turns out, after he lost his seat on the rocket, after he gave up his seat on the rocket, he still kept doing the astronaut training every single day, making sure that if there was a need for a fourth astronaut, he would be ready. And this just really ties in with what Francois said in her very first chapter. Greed is noble. When she was talking about Ryu, she said, yes, he is the greediest person in the entire freaking world, but he just doesn't rest on his laurels. If there's something he wants, he will dive at it with every single fiber of his being, with every single waking moment until he acquires it. And that is why Ryu is such a noble character, because he is willing to put in any amount of work to acquire what he truly desires. And then when Zeno realized, wait a minute, their microphones aren't working, and their cameras are going down. This is bad. We need an astronaut, somebody, somewhere, who can deliver this supply power circuit up to them. But who? Who among us has the astronaut training and the will to make it up to space? And then Ryu's hand shot up. I'm your man. I love it. I absolutely freaking love it. And since they're planning on petrifying the crew for the majority of the flight anyway, Ryu being on board won't take up any oxygen, food, or water. All they need to do is basically recalculate all of the numbers because, yeah, even though he won't take up any supplies, he is a large chunk of mass that is going to seriously change the calculations they need to do. So, yeah, poor Sai, though he certainly looks happy to be in the situation right now. I love Sai too. Anyway, though, then everybody gets petrified. And also, at some point, they apparently got the fifth rocket, the fifth component of the space station launched up and attached properly, which, interesting. I'm kind of curious why we didn't actually see that in this chapter. Weird. Very weird. Anyway, though, then 3 days later, everyone gets woken up again. Huzzah! And once again, nothing went wrong, which is concerning. Very, very concerning. Things should be going wrong, and they just aren't. Though Zeno does definitely look a bit concerned when he says that once they get to the other side of the moon, the radio waves from Earth won't be able to reach them, which, yeah, that could be problematic. That could be very, very problematic. I mean, it's just going to be these four people all by themselves in the depths of space facing off against the Y-Man and his army of AI robots from another dimension, whatever's actually waiting for them down there. It could be bad. It could be so, so bad. Though this also does raise another interesting question because the Y-Man is able to project radio waves down to the Earth, but apparently he's on the dark side of the moon, which should be blocking those radio waves from reaching Earth. So how exactly is he doing that? Does the Y-Man have some sort of satellite in orbit around the moon or antenna on the other side of the moon that he's using to project the signal? I mean, that's weird. That's definitely weird. I am hoping that's more than just something the author overlooked and actually does get explained down the road. But anyway, speaking of the backside of the moon, Senku also explains the backside is more scarred because it protected the Earth from a whole bunch of meteor strikes. And Kawaku comments that without even knowing it, the moon is protecting the people of Earth, which, yeah, that feels odd. That feels very, very odd. It feels almost like the foreshadowing the Y-Man as the protector of humanity, without humanity even realizing that the Y-Man has been here protecting us for countless eons against some sort of bigger, badder threat out there in the cosmos, some sort of ancient Cthulhu-esque entity or some sort of intergalactic alien empire, something truly, utterly awful that we would not be able to actually be able to fight against. And just also while we're on the subject, why exactly would the Y-Man put his base on the backside of the moon where it is way more likely to get struck by meteorites? Wouldn't it make more sense to put it on the front side of the moon where it'd be, relatively safer? I mean, I guess the argument could be made that by putting it on the backside of the moon, NASA and just the people of Earth wouldn't notice the Y-Man building up his base. Maybe? I'm not sure about that. Also, I do just absolutely love Kohaku's reaction to seeing the moon, just seeing it in all its splendor, to seeing how large and massive it really is, and just putting everything on Earth in context. Oh, she is so in awe. It is beautiful. It is freaking beautiful. And then they use a sextant to do some calculations, which, wow, that is old school. That is seriously, seriously old school, and the kind of idea that can only come from Chrome and Suka, the new generation of scientists. Or Zeno explains the same thing that was done during the early Apollo missions. He just so loves taking the wind out of their sails time and time again. I freaking love it. And then as Ryu agrees to stay behind and steer the ship, the three astronauts make their way to the moon's surface, as the entire world watches just in complete and utter awe, realizing that in the span of just a few short years, humanity has gone from the Stone Age to landing on the moon once again, to our most insane achievement of science, and they just have to ask Senku, what is going to be your first words on the moon? And Taiju, he goes in with, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And everyone's like in shock, like, whoa, Taiju, that was such a cool line. Where'd you even think of that? And even though the words are stolen, if Taiju was just quoting Neil Armstrong here, that still would have been such an absolutely amazing moment for him. But instead, he completely forgot those were, in fact, the first words spoken on the freaking goddamn moon. Seriously, Taiju? Seriously. You had a moment. You had a really great moment. Even for the modern dayers, just being able to remember that quote, being able to remember that line would have been impressive by your standards. But you forgot. You forgot the first words spoken on the moon. And at the same time, you quoted those words. That's just... Oh, God, that is next level stupidity right there. That is next level stupidity. And then we get a whole bunch of other people giving their own thoughts on what should be the first words on the moon. Obviously, Chrome, the moon's bad. I don't know why I made him a goat, but I did. And then we have Mose popping in saying, now recruiting girlfriends, cuties welcome, which is just such an utterly Mose thing to say, but at the same time, we have not seen this dude since chapter, 190 something. It has been almost 40 chapters since we last saw him, and his big appearance, his big return, is basically just to make a sexist comment. Yeah, that makes sense for him. We also get to see Kursami looking at him with absolute and complete disgust. And again, this is her first appearance since chapter 190-something. I really thought she would end up being a more important character in this story. I mean, during the first trip to America, it really did seem like her and Kinro may have some sort of thing going back and forth between one another, but we have not seen her in such a very, very long time. So unless we get an epilogue or we're only at the halfway point of the series, I kind of doubt we're going to see that ship sail. And then we have Sai, good old Sai. Achievement unlocked, first moon landing, which... Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. That's such an utterly perfect line for Sai to come up with. And honestly, if I was the first person to land on the moon after 3,000 years, I might have said the same thing. But Senku, he has to be Senku. And he explains, yeah, I haven't really given it all that much thoughts. But he still comes up with a line that'll echo down the annals of history. With all of humanity on the line, we're taking this first giant step into the battle for future science. So get excited! I can assure you, Senku, I am excited. I am very, very excited at this prospect. Now we're on the freaking goddamn moon and going to war against the Y-Man. Huzzah! And Senku is definitely looking a bit different here. I mean, I'm guessing, super hard rock body spacesuits they were wearing before was more for just, takeoff and landing to make sure that the G-forces wouldn't shatter their petrified bodies, maybe, I think. And this is more for, actually exploring the moon, which certainly makes a lot of sense because I was really, really trying to figure out how exactly Stanley was going to be a master marksman while, walking around the old turtle suit. I mean, the finger's barely even bent. But thankfully, this suit seems to have very flexible hands, so I doubt Stanley will have any problems at all firing a gun, while wearing this. I'm assuming he's probably going to have to fire a gun a whole lot. I mean, again, I'm not really sure what to expect on the moon. Is there going to be an army of robots, an army of aliens, an army of everyone we've known throughout the series but secretly turned evil because they're from an alternate dimension where the planet was killed by humans who exploited science? There are so many possibilities. There are so many possibilities for what exactly is waiting for them on the moon. And I really do think, next chapter we might actually get our first clue over the Y-Man's true identity. And I cannot freaking wait for that. As Senku said, I am very, very excited. but please, anything else down below. What do you think of Ryu giving up his seat to Senku? What exactly is going to happen next? I mean, they don't seem to be on the dark side of the moon quite yet because they can still communicate back down with Earth, so are they going to need to walk over to the dark side of the moon now? I mean, if so, why didn't they land closer to it? I mean, I have a lot of questions about that. And just what the freak is going to happen next? I mean, like I said, this seems to be it. We're on the moon. We're going to get the answers we've been wanting for so very, very long. And I am just so excited for that. But please, all down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Until then, peace.